here. Ed's here. It's the Ball Boys. We are back.
Yep.
Happy New Year,
I'm here.
everybody.
Happy New Year. I'm here. Ed's here.
You know, before we get started, I kind of wanted to just say how much fun I'm having. I'm having watching the Raptors lose every night. No, I mean, look, like there's been some bad ones in there, but for the
Really,
most
really bad ones.
really bad ones. But the one against Orlando, like they hung in there, against a
Yeah.
team that's depleted with injury. No, they stink. But look, it's what we've been talking about all year. They just can't play defense. Like
But
offensively,
you know what? Again, like Barrett and Quickly and Scotty have not played a single game this year. Like it's ridiculous.
yeah, it is.
So that's
Yeah, when your three best players aren't playing, you're not going to win.
no.
I mean, their margin of error was already like
Yeah, and their defense has been. You're right. Their defense has been just absolutely horrible. But that's okay because we're hoping for a Cooper flag.
yeah, noble tank, noble tank.
Yep.
And you're right. It's the defense. I mean, offensively, like I was looking at some of their numbers today, and there's actually some interesting stuff going on offense. Like they're seventh in assists, they're 7th in pace, they're sixth in offensive rebounds, and they're like 24th in offense, and they're 20th in points per game. So like they're scoring for a bad team, and they're moving the ball, they're running, and they're crashing the glass. That's great. But the thing that's killing them is they're third last in threes. So they don't take or make enough 3-pointers.
No.
And they stink on defense.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and this is a 3-point league. I mean, Boston
Exactly.
the other night, I watched the Boston game. They took 53 attempts of three-pointers.
Yeah.
53 attempts.
and the Raptors just don't have the personnel to be able to do that yet.
No.
So it is what it is, man.
Yeah. Well, keep on losing.
Yeah. Today we're talking about Jimmy Butler.
Oh.
I mean, where do you even want to start?
Let's see. He has a history of this.
Well, so for those who don't know, in case you've been hiding under a rock, he's played his last game in a Miami Heat jersey.
Yeah.
He's asked out. He did his whole stunt a couple nights ago. Comes out with green hair, which I definitely noticed. He comes out with green hair, and he decides to basically dog it through warm-ups, dog it through the game. He had like 9 points. There was clips going around on social media. Like, what the hell's going on with Jimmy Butler tonight? Is he drunk? No, he just was not trying.
Yeah.
And then he does this weird press conference where
I have to find the joy again. What the hell?
Yeah, right. And then the next day it's like, oh, Jimmy Butler's requested a trade, and then now it's Miami suspended him, and they basically said, you know what, fuck you, buddy, go home, you're done, until we trade your ass.
Yeah.
He's done this before.
Yeah. Chicago traded him to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Then he didn't get because he didn't get an extension. So so he went to Minnesota, and again, like they didn't offer him an extension. So then he called out all his teammates. Remember that famous practice that he came in and
he left Minnesota. He scored first.
He beat the shit out of him, right? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he just annihilated them in scoring. He just embarrassed them all and then walked out of the gym.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
And then so Minnesota then traded him to Philly, and he was a disaster in Philly and just
Well, he
never
wasn't a
worked out.
disaster in Philly. It was a great team, and they almost won the title because if they beat the Raptors, they probably would have won the title, and they almost beat the Raptors in that series. That was one of the greatest series I've ever seen. And that team was loaded, man. It was Ben Simmons, back when he was good. JJ Redick, who could still play back then. Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, and young Joel Embiid. Like, they were fucking stacked, man. It was a difficult team to play. They played great defense. But then the reason why they had to trade Jimmy is because there was some weird contract stuff with Tobias Harris. And they didn't have the money to pay everybody. And Jimmy wanted more money, and they were kind of iffy. But see, and then they trade him to Miami, and then that goes great for a couple years.
Yeah.
He has 2 crazy runs to the finals. The first one in the bubble, and then the second one in 2023 when they, as the 8th seed,
Right. Upset Boston.
and Milwaukee.
and Milwaukee.
and the Knicks.
Right.
Um, so just and that was the crazy Eastern Conference Finals where Miami took a 3-0 lead, and then Boston came back and forced a game 7, and
Right.
then blew it at home in game 7.
Right.
Um, but anyway, look, Jimmy, he's had some great playoff performances. There's no doubt about it, but
Yeah.
he still never won a title. And look, I think for a lot of that shit, he's gotten a free pass because, well, I'll hold that thought, but he's gotten a free pass for a lot of this stuff because people seem to like Jimmy.
Well,
And
people seem to like him, and also he's a clutch performer, as you say. He's generally known across the league as a clutch performer in the playoffs, and that's the kind of guy that you want on your team.
yeah,
Um,
but the dogging it through the regular season thing, like that's nothing new for him. He doesn't
no, I
give
know.
a shit during the regular season, and his mindset is like, fuck it, I just want to be healthy in April. It's kind of similar to how Kawhi thinks. He's like, I don't
I
give
know
a fuck.
exactly. I was going to
Like,
say.
I don't care if we're the 8th seed. Like, just get me into the playoffs. I'm not playing during the regular season, and then I'll try in the playoffs. And it's like that's
Right.
just not you're just not going to win a title that way, you know.
No, no.
And
Well, it's okay. So yeah. So I mean, there's that factor. I mean, uh, yeah, it's a tough one because Miami doesn't really have many options available in this scenario, um, right? They can trade him or try and trade him, but the teams that he wants to go to, or that he says Dallas, Golden State, Houston, and Phoenix. And I was looking at some of the possibilities of these trades and how they could work out, and it's really complicated. Like because of the fact of the apron, like all these teams that
yeah,
I just mentioned, with the exception of Houston, is over. It has an apron, right? And the first apron and going into the second almost. So it's a huge, and Miami doesn't want to take back any negative salary.
nope,
So it's a really tricky thing. So basically, I was reading Brian Windhorst's column on Twitter, and they were saying like they have to get a third party, a third team involved.
yeah,
And I saw a really interesting thing for Dallas to make it work, they'd have to partner up with the Pelicans,
hmm
and so Dallas would get Jimmy. Miami would get Ingram from the Pelicans, and I think somebody else. And the Pels would get Dwight Powell, some other guy, like some mediocre guys on Dallas, and draft picks, right? That kind of thing. Um, so I thought that was interesting. And Clay. Clay would go to the Pelicans. Interesting. And so then the other thing, a scenario I was looking at was what if they went to Phoenix? Well, the only Phoenix doesn't have a draft pick available to deal until 2031.
yeah. I know. Like Phoenix is
Right?
fucked,
They're
and
fucked. They
like
have that.
that's a team that we haven't talked much about, but like they're in serious, like they're in blow it up mode too.
Yeah, like they got Durant and they got what's his name,
Booker.
uh, Booker, but
And
those
they
two
have
and
Bradley Beal, who's under contract for like the next 10 years. And
he owed 110 million, and
that,
so, but that's the only guy that they could trade for. They'd have to, and Bradley Beal would have to waive his no trade clause, but that's the only guy that Miami would be able to get out of it. And
I
so,
gotta say though, man, like God bless Matt Ishbia because I thought the era of terrible general managers just making these horrible decisions and giving this money out to these terrible players, like it was such a great era in the NBA, and I mean I caught the tail end of it, but I mean like there was like Antoine Jameson kept getting paid by people. You remember that? One of my
yeah, yeah.
favorite was the Pistons one year signed Ben Gordon and Charlie Villanueva. Remember that they spent. And they had the posters. It's Charlie V and Ben Gordon. That went badly.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the Raps did it too. They
Oh
signed
yeah.
Hito. That was
Oh,
like 70. It was 4 years, $72 million, which at the time was a huge money deal.
yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, shout out to you, Matt Ishbia, for continuing to keep the league the legacy of completely dumb basketball owners and GMs
Yeah.
alive. That team
So
is
I, so anyway, and so I don't think he's going to go to Phoenix.
no.
He might.
Houston is the team.
Houston's the team that they could deal with because they could deal prospects and they could basically swap Dylan Brooks for Jimmy and that would be it. Because
Yeah.
they could absorb his salary.
Well, and
So
and they have a ton of picks. Not only do they have a ton of picks, they also have a ton of like young talent.
and
Like,
this is the thing though. This is the one thing. The general manager of Houston was saying we're not going to we're not going to make any decisions until the end of the season
well, he has to say
because he
that
does.
for leverage. He has to say
Yeah,
that,
I know,
right?
I
Like, you
know.
know what I mean? I mean, like, look, you don't think that they're having whiteboard discussions about De'Aaron Fox because he's another guy that is
Yeah,
could be, if you say here, take Fred VanVleet and Reed Shepherd and like a couple picks and give
couple of
us
picks.
give us De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
And then like, well, anyway,
Because Sacramento is in a rebuild.
yeah, and Houston's really good.
Yeah,
So,
Houston's right on. They've been building and building and building for the last couple of years, and they're right on the cusp of like
they just
becoming
have a lot of talent, man. They have a shitload of talent.
a serious contender. So if they get
Yeah.
Jimmy, that would push them over the that hump,
Yeah.
and after that, man, look out.
I already think they're a top four team in the Western Conference.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I would
So
say how I would rank it right now, I would go
OKC,
OKC, Memphis 2, Houston 3, and then like either Denver or Dallas
Denver,
4.
yeah, or Minnesota or
No, I don't buy
not
Minnesota
Minnesota,
yet. I think
Denver.
I think Denver or Dallas. I mean, the thing about Denver, have you seen how Nikola Jokic is playing lately? I mean,
I have not.
he's insane. I mean, the other night he almost had a 40, 20, and 10.
Eek.
And I mean, like the guy, we've been talking about Denver so much this year,
Yeah,
and how they don't have it, their supporting cast, blah blah blah. Blah. Honestly, like I still have them as a title contender because he is that good. The guy is averaging like 35, 15, and 9. I mean, it's crazy.
I
It's
know.
crazy.
Yeah,
And he's shooting 56% from three.
three. I know. I know. It's
I mean,
hey,
it's insane. He's the best
he is
player on the planet, man.
he is. He's the best player on the planet.
Like,
Absolutely.
not
So
only that, like, I honestly think he might be better than Shaq was. I'm serious. Like
oh, I
this,
don't know about that, but
Dad, he's Shaq. Like,
it's all about the fingers, Eddie.
okay, well, sure, but I mean, like, what this guy's doing, he's already won 3 MVPs.
True.
That's not nothing, and he's gonna win
No, I
another one.
know.
I'm sorry, like Shea is great, but like, if this guy doesn't win MVP again, like, honestly, um,
Oh, for sure. I mean, the guy's like you say, he's the best player on the planet. So I mean,
he's
uh,
amazing.
he's amazing. So yeah, you got to give Denver a reasonably high slot in the
Well,
hierarchy of the West.
and they've
They're
kind
they're
of,
probably the fifth best team or fourth.
but they're playing good ball lately.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like that would be like in a second round 1-4 matchup, as good as OKC is. Like I'm still giving Jokic at least 2,
yeah,
and that series might go 7. Like he's that good,
yeah,
man. He's an incredible player. But I want to get back to Jimmy for a second here. Okay, we
yeah.
kind of touched on this earlier, but I want to get into it. He's done this before. You mentioned the other
Hmm.
stops. He was in Chicago. He was sick of Fred Hoiberg, and they hated each other. And him and Rondo were
Hmm.
fighting the whole time, and Wade that in that terrible last season gets the hell out of there, goes to
Hmm.
Minnesota. That's a disaster from the start. He doesn't get along with Cat or Wiggins. And then he does the infamous practice, like you said, and then Rachel Nichols interview. And then he goes to Philly and same thing. He didn't get along with Ben and Joel. He thought those guys were
Hmm.
pussies, man. And he was like, fuck
Hmm.
this. Right. And like, so my point is, he's always gotten a free pass for doing this shit. Right. And I think a big
Hmm.
part of that is, last week we talked about LeBron and Steph and their level of fame and icon and whatever, and the
Hmm.
fact that the NBA doesn't have anybody waiting in the wings that can take up that mantle yet, right? And I think part of
Hmm.
the problem. I'm gonna pause. You're frozen. Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
So I think part of the problem is that all these young stars, like it's all such a factory now, right? And like they're all media trained at 15. They all have their brands. They're all signing shoe deals and NIL deals. They all have
Hmm.
agents, right? Like, and it's all so careful and calculated, right? And Jimmy was an old school personality that kind of always just told it like it is, right? And like wasn't afraid
Hmm.
to be himself. And I think that has earned him a lot of points socially and in the media because people, it's like, you know what? Yeah, he's a bit of a prick, but like, yeah, he's kind of right. These guys are pussies, you know? Or whatever, right? Like, so I think, and admittedly, I've even given him a longer leash because, like you said, he performs in the playoffs and he's the kind of guy you want on your team at the end of the day. But I mean, like these how can you not start getting sick of this shit, man? He's done this everywhere he's played, where it goes bad and he just
Well,
leaves.
yeah, I
Like,
know. You have to. At some point, you just go and listen. Jimmy's 35, right? I mean, he's been doing this for a long time. And when he was younger, then it didn't bother me. But now that he's older, at 35, like right now, he's to me, it's just for him, it's just all about the money. It's not about the rings. And so, I mean, I don't know. Like you said, I'm kind of getting tired of his act.
yeah, me too. I'm getting
I
really
like the
real tired of
guy,
his act.
but
And I mean, like, look, if you're like number one, the guy never plays in the regular season. He's on the wrong side of 35 now, right? And
yeah,
he's had a history of injuries. Like Miami's going, sorry, Jimmy, we're not giving you this extension. That's what this is all about. It's all about money, man.
right,
He wants the extension. It's the same fucking
yeah,
thing that happened in Chicago. It's the same fucking thing that
yeah,
happened in Philly. It's all about money. You're right. In Minnesota, it
yeah,
was just like, get me the fuck out of here. I hate it here. But in Philly, it was a
yeah,
money thing, man. Philly didn't, they were scared about giving him a 5 year extension and
yeah.
because of his history and
Even giving him a 2-year extension for 150 million or 135 million,
it's a huge
it
risk.
doesn't make it'd be insane. Like
And
the
and and
guy's
I think and I think Miami knows that like look, as good as Jimmy is in the playoffs, like there's no fucking way we're beating Boston and there's no fucking way we're beating Cleveland. Not with the
right,
roster we have. It's just never going to happen.
right.
So and even I would throw the Knicks into that discussion as well.
Hmm.
Like it's just like they're way better. You could see it. Like and I think they know that and they understand that and they know it's time to move on and
Yeah.
but anyway, I just like I said, I've given him a long leash with some of these situations before and I don't know, man. I just I'm tired of his
Well,
shit,
it'll
man.
be interesting to see what happens, Eddie, because um, you know it'll be interesting to see what Miami does because unless they find a really good deal out there, they don't have to trade him. They can do what Philly did with
Ben
I mean
Simmons
the Clippers did with Paul George. They could just let him
walk.
walk for nothing,
Yeah, but he
and they saved
but
money. And then the Clippers were smart. They took on money to get Harden and a
yeah,
bunch
but
of
I'm
other
sorry,
guys,
but
right?
I but Dad, I agree with you. But the thing is, like, I think at this point it's so far gone. Like you got to get him out of the building because like it's he's become a cancer in there, right? And like at least Paul George was able to they said play out the season. We'll talk at the end of the year, right? So at least he wasn't being like a disruptive force in the facility every day. Like they just suspended him for 7 games, Dad. Like they
And
basically
yeah,
said
right.
they said take your ass home and don't come back until we trade you.
Right.
This is it, so it's a I agree with you. Logic says that they could do that, but like this is it's they got to get him out of here, man. For everybody involved, right?
Well,
And
then that does. Well, yeah, but that makes it harder on Pat to make a deal because he's dealing from a position of weakness, really.
I think it's the
Right?
NBA.
If he
Know,
has
I
to
know. And the
trade
second
Jimmy by
apron
the time
thing,
by the time they get back from the West Coast trip, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that puts Pat in a really hard spot. So
So
I don't
where
know. I don't
so let's
know.
finish off with this. Where do you think he'll end up? Like in at the end of the deadline, who's
Houston.
you think he'll be on Houston? Can
Yeah,
I
I think for sure. Like maybe Dallas, Dallas. Actually, if they get the Pelicans involved and do a three-way trade, or the Pistons or whatever, like have mentioned a three-way, that could work out. So
Okay, yeah,
Dallas
but
might be the spot. I mean,
Dallas.
can you imagine? I mean, Dallas with Jimmy, Luca, and Kyrie.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
I think Clay would probably have to be in the deal to make the money work.
yeah, yeah. Clay would have to go. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they'd have to trade Clay. So basically, you're upgrading Clay to Jimmy Butler,
Right.
and you're throwing a whole bunch of other
And you get
shit.
rid of Dwight Powell
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah.
or baggage and
And
whatever.
then, well, actually, no, I would say, who knows? Yeah, you'd have to give some stuff to New Orleans.
Yeah, draft picks.
Well, they don't have any draft picks.
No, but
I don't know.
Dallas does. Well, maybe.
No, they don't. So it would have
All
to be
right.
like Jimmy goes to New Orleans. Or sorry, Jimmy goes to Dallas. They'd probably have to trade Derek Lively to New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And Clay
and Clay, and then New Orleans sends back.
Ingram. Ingram goes to Miami.
Oh man, I kind of like that deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no,
That makes
right.
sense.
I
Like
didn't even think of that.
that would make all those teams better.
You
So
know, it's not a bad deal.
not a bad deal.
Can I throw you a San Antonio case?
Yeah.
Um, 16 and 15, I think right now, something like that,
Hmm.
in the playoff hunt. And this kid Wembenyama, like, I mean, I know it's early and you don't want to like sacrifice the development, but it's like you also got to be having a discussion like this guy's already like he's ready right now
Yeah.
to be on a winner. Like we like let's not fuck around and waste any time here.
Well, do
You
what
know?
the Lakers did with Orlando and getting Shaq.
What?
It's that kind of a scenario,
No, it's
right?
not. It's not
Sure it
that
is.
kind of a scenario.
Yeah, like if a team is missing that one piece, that would make them a championship team, I'd say go for it. So
Yeah, but
if you
how is
could
that like
get
Shaq? Sometimes
Wembanyama,
you make no, but hold on. Sometimes you make these comparisons and they just make how is that like the Lakers getting Shaq from Orlando?
because the Lakers needed Shaq to become a true championship team,
No, but no.
and
But see, but
so
no.
if there's a team on the cusp like Houston, although they got Sengun.
First of all, the Lakers got Shaq and they lost in the playoffs for like 5 years until they won a title. So there's that. Second of all, the Spurs already have their Shaq.
Yeah,
They have their transformational player. They just need to like, find a Kobe. Honestly, like they need to get him some fucking help.
yeah.
And that was a stupid. I'm not letting that one
Oh
pass. That
yeah,
was a
no.
stupid fucking analogy that you just made there.
No, but you know what? I
That's a
thought
stupid one.
no.
I,
But
sometimes I
I
let him
thought you were
go.
suggesting that we. No. I thought you were suggesting that the Spurs were going to try and trade Wembanyama.
No, I was saying that they need to go get Jimmy Butler, dude.
Yeah.
Play with
That would
him.
now that I know that you're saying that, yeah, that
Oh
makes
my
sense.
God. I don't even know if I should keep that or
No.
oh, like, did you see my face when you brought it up? I was like, what the fuck is he talking about?
I
Like,
know.
what? I even said, I was like, yeah. Wait, what? Fuck are you talking about, man? No, what I'm saying is,
Now I get it. Yeah, now I get it.
yes, like this kid last night he had 35 and 15, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they beat somebody. Who do they beat? It's all such a blur. I've been watching so much basketball lately.
Yeah.
They beat Denver
Right.
in Denver, and he blocked Jokic to win the game. Like this kid,
And he hit a 3-pointer from
he
from
had two,
midcourt.
two in a row. It was crazy. He's nasty, man, and I love
Oh,
that kid so much. So
crazy.
if you're the Spurs, do you say like, here's Steph
Me
Castle
too.
and Chris Paul and a couple picks, and we'll take Jimmy Butler off your hands? I don't
Not
know.
yet. They're a year away. I can tell you they're a year away. So if they're in a situation next year where some disgruntled, really talented player wants to leave another team, that's when I think they make the move. I think if they put Jimmy Butler on their team now, I think it might fuck up Wembanyama's development. Even
Nothing's
though
fucking up. No, it won't.
I
It
shouldn't say
wouldn't.
that. Forget it. As you said, Wembanyama's already there. So for fuck development, like get him help. But I don't think Jimmy's the right guy for him. I don't know.
Be
I don't
kind of
know.
fun. Did you see him chirping Russell Westbrook last night, Wembanyama?
No.
Oh my God, he's getting into it with Russell Westbrook. I was like, I fucking love this kid, man. Yeah, Russ like went up and like flew past him and tried to fouled him, right?
Right,
And on the way down, and Wemby's going, seriously, like, why are you even jumping? Like, you're not gonna block me, you know what I mean? And like,
right.
and they kind of got into it a little bit, and they were like, he's got some fuck you in his game, man.
Yeah,
Which you know I love. Like, you gotta have it if you're a
yeah,
superstar. You gotta be like, you gotta have it. You just gotta
yeah,
have that in you, and
yeah.
that's the difference between
I mean, the
a good
ultimate
player and a
the
great
ultimate
player.
examples of that are
Everybody.
Michael and Kobe,
And Bird and Shaq
and
and
Bird and
Magic.
Shaq. Yeah.
I mean, you don't think Magic talks shit? Like, of
Oh
course he
yeah.
did, you know?
Magic. Yeah. Kareem. Absolutely.
All those guys, Bill Russell and Wilt used to talk shit to each other like all game, you know?
Yeah.
And go down the line. LeBron,
Yeah.
Steph talks shit.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, man, if you're a great player, it comes with a category, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, man,
Larry was the best chirper, I think.
well, Reggie was a really good trash talker.
Oh yeah.
There's been some good ones. Iverson
Yeah.
was a good trash talker.
Yeah.
I mean, like Paul Pierce was a really funny trash talker.
I hated
Oh
that.
yeah, I mean, well, KG is an all timer.
Oh
KG
yeah.
talked
Oh
a lot
yeah.
of shit. Oh my
Yeah.
God,
Oh yeah.
like he'd be like, "I'm fucking your sister" or some shit like that, like at the
Yeah.
free throw line. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
no, I love KG's stuff. Yeah, that was great.
Rashid was a good one.
Yeah.
I loved Rashid. At first, I hated Rashid, and then I came to
Yeah.
like Rashid Wallace.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Um, Anyway, all right, let's wrap it up. That would be
All right.
like, look, it would be interesting if Jimmy was on because you know if like I feel like Victor could take some things away from playing with Jimmy Butler for sure.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I like I say, I don't think the Spurs are a home for him this year, but I could see the Spurs adding a superstar next year. I think that would make sense in the development of the whole team. But yeah, and as for the trade in for Jimmy, the more I think about it, the more I think the Mavs might get him. But he also could go to Houston. I think Phoenix is out of it, and Golden State he might go to, but Golden State would have to give up Wiggins, Looney, and a
Mhm.
bunch of draft picks. So that's
I
gonna,
just
and
I don't
four
think
guys. They'd have to get rid of
Golden
four
State
guys.
doesn't have it, man. Like I just don't think it makes
No,
sense.
no, I
But
don't
you
think
never know,
so.
man. You never know.
Yeah. So for
Um,
me, it's like Dallas and Houston, those two teams, one of those two teams.
Last question: who would you rather have, Cooper Flag or Ace Bailey?
Ooh,
Because I think honestly,
Ace
like
Bailey's better.
I'm not. I don't know, man. Like,
I
this kind of reminds me of the Durant Oden year. Remember that year when like
yeah,
all season it was like, okay, Greg Oden, he's the guy. He's the guy. Like he's
yeah.
been the guy who was like all the hype, and then it's like you're looking at this Durant guy. It's like, okay, but like. Have you
This guy's
seen this
better.
guy play? Like Jesus Christ, he's fucking
Yeah.
great, you know. And Odin ends up going one because he's, you know, and then
Yeah, and then he flames out.
well, yeah, and like, look, I'm not saying that part of the scenario is going to be the same. I'm just saying, like, it is this thing where, like, Cooper, it's been like for 2 years, it's been Cooper Flag,
Right.
Cooper Flag, Cooper Flag, Cooper Flag, Cooper Flag,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's playing really good ball. Like,
Yeah.
he's been good this year. But then it's like you're looking and it's like, okay, like, um, Ace Bailey can fucking
Hey,
play,
listen.
man.
If I was the looking for the number one draft pick and I didn't get it and I came to Ace Bailey in the two slot, I would be really happy.
Wouldn't be sad one bit about
No,
that.
no.
And the Raptors are 8-23 now, 8-27, 8-27. Jesus Christ. Well, hey, look, they're doing what we wanted.
Yeah.
Let's see. What place are they in the overall standings? There are. So right now they would have they would have the fifth pick in the draft,
Fifth pick in the draft. Wow.
but they're only they're only 2 games out of having the worst record. They're only 2 games up on New Orleans.
God.
2.5 games. Excuse me. They're 2.5 games.
Wow.
No, it's 2. It's 2 games. So,
Oh,
you know, we're 8-27 and New Orleans is 6-29. So like they could legitimately get the number 1 pick this year.
right. Right.
We'll see. All right, Dad. I'll see you next time.
All right.